Welcome back, guys. So as some of you know, the rental market crash here in Southwest Florida, and Florida as a whole really, it has been underway for a few months. Nationally, we're starting to see the same thing occur, but it's really starting to pick up speed in my area in Florida and other areas around the state currently as well. Renters have been pretty much given up this game. They're not going to play it anymore. They went and bought houses if they could. Landlords are getting very nervous. Our rental inventory is skyrocketing. They are building tons of apartments. Everything is going south very, very quickly, and I'll show you why. So again, guys, not just here in Florida, but nationally, more than half of all renters are cost burdened currently. That is the highest number since 2012. So rent hasn't been this unaffordable in almost 11 years. And I'm pulling all this data from apartmentlist.com, but they say here, although rent growth has cooled significantly over the past year, the national median rent is still 23% higher than it was just 3 years ago. And in some markets, the increase has been even more substantial. And guys, we know in this market, it's been even more substantial. I like to use this cookie cutter house as an example. 3 years ago, 2019, actually, you could get a 2-1 with a carport, small house, 700 square feet, but someone single or a small family could rent it. That was about $900. They are now asking $1,900 a month, more than double what they were getting before the pandemic. And people are not showing up. They are not really, if you're going to pay $1,900 a month, you're probably a family or dual income and you need another bedroom. Then that's not going to work. A lot of the investors around here who purchased these smaller homes thinking they were going to rent them out for a fortune are drastically slashing their prices. My colleagues around the state tell me that's pretty much occurring everywhere else. I think they're trying to get ahead of all these apartment complexes coming in. But in any event, rents are dropping very, very fast here in my area. So half of the country is cost burden. Now, what does that mean? It says, according to the most commonly accepted measure of housing affordability, a household is considered to be cost burdened if housing costs eat up more than 30% of the gross household income. Households that spend more than 50% of their household income on monthly housing costs are considered to be severely burdened. And that's where the danger is here, guys. This is why the market's coming down. People can't spend more than half their money on rent. It just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't work. They may have made it work short term, but now it's not happening. When renewals are coming up, they're not doing it. Specifically in Charlotte County here, I hate to say this, but when Ian hit us last year, man, the landlords had blood in the water, raised all their rents up, said, okay, I know these people don't have homes and they're going to need to go somewhere. And some of them are probably going to get insurance checks. I'm putting the rent sky high and I'm going to bleed everybody dry that needs a house, which is absolutely horrible, but that is what they did here. I heard that it was the same that they did in 2004 when Charlie hit us, and then rents basically a year later started crashing, which is right around now. We're a year past Ian is what we're seeing here. But again, it's not specifically just here. This is a nationwide phenomenon, a statewide phenomenon. It's kind of going on everywhere. You can't charge more than 50% of someone's in. You can't really even charge more than 30% and sustain that tenant for very long. Now, as a sales agent, you would think, why do I know so much about rentals? Well, I work with investors. Obviously, I need to know this stuff. But also, sometimes buying a house isn't the best move. And historically, rent has been pretty affordable. So for some people, renting makes sense. I don't believe home ownership is for everybody. It's a personal choice. There's pros and cons to both sides of it. That's my opinion. You got to do what's best for you. So I stay on top of this rental market heavily for those reasons. And for, obviously investors I work with, you got to know these numbers. You got to know what you're talking about, or else this is how we get in the situation we're in right now, when everybody came from every other state and just started buying houses and no thought of what's going to go on or how long this is going to last or if these rents are even sustainable. Buying new construction homes 2 years ago that are now finishing, where rents 2 years ago were $3,000 and they're lucky if they get maybe $1,800 for it now, and they got a mortgage. So, you should keep an eye on all this stuff. But again, I don't think renting is always a bad idea. So this chart shows the severely burdened, over 50% of income on rent, and the moderately burdened, 30 to 50% of income on rent. Nationally, it's the average going back to 2005. You can see it doesn't fluctuate too much, but it is up the highest it's been since 2012. Now, if we flip the house burden cost over to home ownership, you can see that's actually decreased over the prior 10 years. So it's gotten a little better for people up until 2022. I think that's about to go way back up for 2023. Again, the state only runs till 2022. Apartment List has been nice enough to illustrate this data on the national map. And as you can see, Florida and California, as of 2022, the worst offenders. And we'll dive into Florida here, guys. So your average cost burden rate is 51% as of 2022. It's hitting, 64 in Miami, 65 in Port St. Lucie, 60% in Orlando, 58%. Deltona, Gainesville, 62%. Tallahassee, 59. Panama City, 61. Destin, 55. And down here, Naples, 68. That is the record so far, guys. Woo! Kind of following what I'm hearing about Naples right now. Can't seem to get any properties rented. Yeah. Cape Coral sitting at 49. Punta Gorda sitting at 55. Sarasota, Northport, 58.2. Jumping out here to California, we've got Riverside at 60%. We've got Bakersfield, 57. Los Angeles at 58. San Diego, 58. So I like when you guys say that in the comments that they want California rents on Florida wages, because that is exactly, you are exactly right. That is what they're asking. Up here, we got another big one in Poughkeepsie, Newburgh, Middletown, New York area. That is interesting. If you guys, Kingston, if you guys have ever seen my phone number, that is a Middletown, New York phone number. I went up to the Galleria Mall in about 2004 and got myself a nice Nextel up there. You know, chirp, chirp, where you at? And I've had that number ever since. So that's interesting. That's pretty high up there in that metro as well. And as I just mentioned, Miami has the nation's highest cost burden rate among the 50 largest U.S. metros. It's at 64.6%. That is astronomical. So the top 5 contenders for basically least affordable, most burdened renters, is rounded out by, again, another Florida city, Orlando at 60%, Riverside, California, Sacramento, California, and San Diego, California, echoing what we just saw on that nationwide chart. At the state level, Florida leads the way with 60% of renter households burdened by their housing costs, followed by Hawaii. Guys, we are kicking it up higher than Hawaii. Nevada, California, and Louisiana round out the others. It's like Miami's rental stats averaging about $1,600 for a 1-bedroom, $2,141 for a 2-bed. Good Lord. Those are both actually down, though. Rent growth is down in Miami, 1.8%. Here's Miami's rent growth. Miami's here in the purple, kind of following the trend here. U.S. big dip. Came back up in the spring there. Going back down, and Miami followed, Florida followed, pretty much in tow. And I'm not going to dive into this mess, guys, one by one, but you can see, you can really, if you want, I'll link this, but if you guys really want to dive in to Miami in every specific area, you can do it here. So West Palm Beach looks like they are down 1.9%, 1-bedroom median rent hovering around $1,600. Lake Worth, Boca Raton, what's Boca Raton looking like? Boca Raton down 1.8% on their rent year over year. Fort Lauderdale, negative 0.5%. Hollywood, Miami down 1.8%. So yeah, don't let people tell you rents are still going up, guys. I mean, they may not be crashing in some of these areas and not coming down as fast, but they're not going up. Let me take you over to the West Coast on Tampa. Looks like Tampa's rents are actually down negative 2.1% year over year. Get a 1-bedroom for $1,410, which is sad because it costs more than that in Charlotte County right now. 2-bedroom for $1,740 on average. See, that's what I tell people. You know, I can get a cheaper place in Tampa. And so they're flat month over month, basically. Let's take a look at Tampa's rent growth. Pretty much follows. Oh, they got a pretty heavy dip here. They took a huge dive, 4 points, wow, almost 5%, January, February region. Coming back up here. So overall for the year, they're down 2.1%, following Florida's trend. So another great chart here from Apartment List is they're showing that rental cost burden was actually improving until the pandemic. So if we take a look here, back from the Great Recession recovery, they're calling it, rents were up 26%, but incomes were up 37%. So the renter cost burden actually went down negative 5%. Once we hit the pandemic, as you can see, rents go up 19% and incomes only go up 16%. That's basically negative 4, giving you a renter cost burden of plus 4%. Another great illustration here, you can see that rents are growing faster than incomes in 74 of the 100 largest metros. So below the line is your income is growing faster than the rent is. Above the line, rent's going up faster than you're getting wage increases. And you can see Cape Coral up there, Jacksonville, Tampa, all our favorites. And right at the top, Boise, which is the catalyst for all of this. Boise is kind of leading the way in the rent declines. We're seeing it lead the way in price declines as well for purchases. Boise was down. Last report I got on here, I believe Boise was down about 7% on their rents year over year. I'm going to be interested to see what that looks like come October's numbers, which we'll get out on a video for you guys as well. So if we take a look at preliminary data from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, it looks like the median weekly earnings are about $1,100 in the third quarter of 2023. That is up 4.5% higher than a year earlier, compared with a gain of 3.5% in the consumer price index for all urban consumers over the same period. So what does that mean, guys? It's about most people, the median salary right now across the country, what they're saying here is $1,100 a week. That is $4,400 a month gross. Again, we've always have to clarify that that is gross, because it is gross, but it's not your take home, and people will want 3 times the monthly rent gross. So at $4,400, you really can't ask more than $1,600 a month to even have somebody qualify for that as a single person. Now, dual incomes can do that, but most dual income people have just shut down from this whole scenario and bought a house. Now, at the conclusion of all this, they put a little asterisk that says, however, rent growth may also continue on an upward trajectory. This may come as a surprise to astute readers who know that rents are currently down year over year, according to the latest apartment list rent index. But remember, our index considers rents paid only by households who are moving and signing new leases, while market-wide rents that go into cost burden calculations consider all households, including the majority who stay put each year with their existing leases. So that is their main difference. They're only counting new leases signed. People who don't up and leave do not get counted into this. And, a lot of landlords will tell me, oh, I raised my rent, I did this and that. I'm sure there's a lot of places that's probably still doable. Maybe you were lower than market. Without raising you got to really go like $150 a month, it seems, to get people to say, no, I'm leaving. Most people don't see the benefit in doing that if you stay under $150 a month. That's at least what I've seen, depending on the price point. So that's why this is going to sound a little different than what you see in the CPI, because in the CPI, the rent is still up 7 to 9%. Which we'll take a look at right here. So you can see the rent CPI as of August 23, that's the blue line, is still up 7.8% because it's counting all the existing leases that stayed put. Apartment lists is actually the purple one, which is down as of September 23, down 1.2% nationally. So when they're seeing new leases signed, when they're seeing new contracts entered into, they're actually seeing the rents come down, which takes us to apartment lists vacancy rate, which as of September, this is nationally, is sitting at 6.4%. So that's the reality of the rental situation now, guys. Do you want to call it a rental crash? We will see. I mean, when I tell you guys about duplexes that were purchased, one side of the duplex for $280, not both sides, and the guy puts it up for $2,700 rent last month, and it's already down to $19. To me, that's a crash. Is it going to go to $1,100? Probably not. I wish it would. I mean, maybe, but I don't think so. So if $1,100 is the weekly median salary, I'm thinking that rents are probably going to settle in. Median rents are probably going to settle in nationwide somewhere around $1,200 to $1,300. I believe they're at $1,500 to $1,600 right now, though. Again, that varies very differently from every area. That's my prediction, is they'll probably settle in around $1,200. Do I think that these little 2-1 no garage houses are going to go back to $900 again anytime soon? Probably not. Are they going to get rented at $1,900? Probably not. We're going to have to find, the equilibrium where wage growth and rental price drops come in and meet in the middle. And I think on a 2-1, that's probably, here in Florida, that's probably going to be somewhere around $1,100, $1,200, depending on how nice the house is. 3-2s, I think you're going to start seeing them go down into the 1,700s, maybe even 1,600s. Nothing fancy, 3-2, 1,000 square foot house, maybe with a garage. I think that's where we're headed, and we'll see if it continues after that point. So guys, this is just going to get worse nationwide. I mean, Airbnb's cracking down. Those people are going to run for the exits. They're going to annual rentals. A lot of seasonals, vacation rentals, are going to annual rentals. So I don't think we've even seen the major rental inventory dump yet, not to mention that we have all the apartments coming online. We've discussed ad nauseum here. Let me know what you're seeing in your areas, guys. Are you out there trying to rent places? As always, if you guys like this content, please give me a like, maybe consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time.